let's start by having a quick discussion. What's one thing you've learned since opening your business that you wish you'd known earlier? So let's start that. Let's start with that question. Any of the entrepreneurs who are here? Whoops, accidentally clicked. I shouldn't have. Any of the entrepreneurs that are here? What's one thing that you've learned since opening your business that you wish you'd known earlier?
I would have to say how hard it is to get your name out there.
Dustin, I'm trying to hear you, but I think we've got a volume problem. It's like you're whispering.
Okay, let me check it out.
Okay, definitely want to hear your idea. While he's looking at the volume, are there any other entrepreneurs? Sarah, how about you guys? As you started out your chiropractic business, what's one thing that you learned since you opened your business that you wish you'd known earlier? I'm going to stop sharing just so we can see each other as we talk. One of our organizers help out with their own experiences, something that you learned since opening your business that you wish you'd known earlier?
Well, back in the day of when I had employees, the one thing that I skipped that I wish I would have known earlier is the availability of human resources. Um, when you have a number of employees and employees have problems, and all of a sudden you become a domestic coordinator, um, I had no idea that there was the availability of human resources out there that you could have gotten hold of and help you along with this, because it takes up so much time, but most importantly, it takes a lot out of you. I mean, you start experiencing everything that the person is experiencing. And so I would suggest that along with employees, that would be high on my list the next time if I ever gather up a group again, is human resources. I would look into it.
That's a really good one. Let's say that was probably part of my experience too, running my own business. Something I wish I'd known earlier was um, related to that was that employees many times are your friends. When you first start out, you hire people that you know and you like, and you kind of everybody gets on board and starts doing stuff. And when you first start, you think that everybody can be friends and that you're still friends as you work. And what I found was when you're the boss, no matter how friendly you are, you're still the boss in their mind. And that took a couple of painful learning experiences to figure out that I could be friendly with my employees, but I couldn't, have a close friend relationship anymore once they became my employee. That was a tough lesson. Maybe else have something what we're doing is we're just um, asking everybody that's an entrepreneur to share what you wish you had known earlier when you started your business.
I can talk.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say when I first launched cabin number 4, I did not do a good job of researching people who are already at, like, the business names. So my first business name for that was Get Out. And then about 2 weeks after I launched, I found a company called Get Outside doing almost exactly what I was doing. So I did not expand. When I searched and I tried to find other companies named Get Out, I did not expand the name. So I ended up having to change the name about 2 weeks after I launched.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one though. Great story. Thanks. Dustin, you want to give it another try?
Yeah, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I was just going to mention the biggest thing that I had an issue with was getting the name out there and realizing how important it is to be able to be on social media and also getting your Google set up and stuff like that as well too for your business. It's crucial, and that's something I wish I would have known prior to this. So
That's great. Thanks so much, Dustin. Other entrepreneurs that are here today, that what's one thing you learned since opening your business that you wish you'd known earlier?
If I may, I'm going to jump on the name thing also, because in our case, we researched locally, not nationally, when I started my own business. And lo and behold, there's a business that does the same thing in Texas that operates very similarly. But thank goodness for technology and Google. Uh, we've been able to kind of go with it and stay with it and not have any problems. With the exception is, I think I got an adverse review out there that doesn't belong to me because I've never heard of the client before in my life. So um, that's the only negative with it. But I'm registered in Minnesota, and then the other company is and does business in Texas. So far we've been able to keep separation and everything. So
That's a good one. Thanks, David. Anybody else have something you learned since opening your business that you wish you'd known earlier? One thing that I've told my students about before, I think, is that I learned to stay in my lane. I had an employee who was very good at bookkeeping and accounting, and I hired her for that purpose. And then shortly after hiring her, I decided to redo the whole accounting system and change how we were going to organize things. And I spent the whole weekend, reorganizing the accounting system. She came in on Monday morning and found me asleep in a corner with papers all over the floor. And that was the end of that. There was no more messing with her accounting stuff. She's still with me 26 years later, but I got a pretty strict talking to from her about that and learned to stay in my lane and let her do her job. Good lesson in learning to delegate and trust your staff. So if we don't have any more on that question, I'm going to switch to the next one. The other question was, what are some functions your business or organization outsources? And how did you find your partners? So functions that your business or organization outsources. And if you're outsourcing, how did you find the partners that you work with? And this could be an open question for anybody that works for any organization.
Oh, I got one real quick. So a lot of mine, since I'm a welder, a lot of my stuff is also outsourced, as far not outsourced, but it's on site stuff where I have to not be at the shop. Well, unfortunately, I'm the only one here. I can't be in 3 different places at the exact same time. So I ended up working with a guy that I actually used to work with at a previous job, who's a really good welder, and he's doing kind of the same thing, but a little bit more slow or a little smaller than what I'm doing it. And I just contact him and just be like, "Hey, are you interested in this?" And he goes, "Yeah, absolutely." So that's how I do it. So.
That's great. Thanks, Dustin. Anybody else who is running an organization or a company where you're doing some outsourcing of some aspect of your business? What are you doing that you're outsourcing, and how did you find your partner for outsourcing? That's a really great question because none of us has all of the skills to do all the things necessary to run a business, right? Or at least maybe not all in equal measure.
So for my business, I outsource the printing and production of printed materials and apparel and stuff like that. I don't have it's not so much not having the skills, it's not having the capital or desire for me. Printing equipment, apparel creation equipment is very expensive. And it's not, quite frankly, it's not something I want to do, but it's something I can do to make clients' their life easier.
That's great. Thanks. Leaving the question open for anybody that is outsourcing any portion of their business. How are you doing the outsourcing? How'd you find your partners? Are you outsourcing HR? Are you outsourcing delivery? IT stuff?
Yeah, I'd like to speak up. Hello, everyone. My name is Caleb. I've yet to speak here. Nice to meet you all. I work at MTU Onsite Energy here in Mankato. I'm just a business or a sales order management intern. Um, and I guess before I was here, we used to do a lot more things internally, but just in the past few years, a lot of our billing and stuff, I request a lot of invoicing to happen. And a lot of that is different states. And as well as us being owned by Rolls-Royce, we do lots and lots of our upper management within Germany as well. So that they took us on and then they kind of restructured how we did things like that. And the main reason we even do outsource that stuff is obviously because it's cheaper. So.
Well, I think congratulations to your company, Caleb, that I think, didn't I see a little news story of some great expansion there with Rolls-Royce and new activity coming to Mankato, is that right?
Yep. We got a big expansion in the back of the building and our parking lot is going to go quite a bit back as well. So, yep.
Super.
I guess I can add to that. We're a newer business, and when we first started, I started thinking, we can do everything ourselves as far as the marketing, the billing, the seeing patients, all that kind of stuff. So trying to find that pivot point of when you need to focus on what you actually do and outsource things like finding someone for marketing, finding someone for IT, things like that. And I actually found those just by going out and meeting people and through relationships, because I'm a big believer in if you know the person, I feel a lot more comfortable working with them and trusting my business with them. So we've been outsourcing a lot of stuff lately so that we can get ready for the growth.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. So question on the table is, if you outsource, if your organization outsources, either one you work for or your own organization, how did you find them? What are you outsourcing?
Well, I can jump up creatively here for a second. In the last number of years, especially in Nashville, Tennessee, uh, songwriting has become an outsourcing activity where before you had one individual usually writing a song. And in today's climate, you'll find that there are 2, 3, 4, 5 people writing one song. And that's all due to outsourcing. A person would like to have a song a performer, especially who's has a certain kind of a personality out there on stage, is looking for a certain kind of song, and that's how it's done these days. Is it usually is done with a number of people involved in producing a material for that person, outsourcing.
That's fascinating. Thanks, Bobby. Hey, Kate, do you outsource anything related to cabin number 4? Do you have anybody else do any part of your business?
Yeah, I'm kind of in Tyler's camp where I have my shirts printed locally here, and then all of my client projects for Blue Sun Design I have printed. I have a couple of different printers that I use depending on the project and depending on the timeline and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, so I'm kind of in Tyler's camp where I'm not interested in learning how to screen print anything, nor do I want to invest in screen printers. And yeah, I don't want to worry about machinery. I don't want to worry about any of that stuff. And who knows, maybe I'm big enough where I'll have a division or something that does that in the future. But for now, I'm perfectly happy dropping off shirts and having them printed and picking them up and being happy with them.
I'm curious, how did you find them? Well, we've got some students in the meeting today,
Yeah.
and they're actually at the point in their projects where they're thinking about, how do I find the people to do the manufacturing and the printing, whatever? How did you find these folks? How did you pick them?
Well, I mean, my situation may not be that helpful for students, but when I was in my full-time job outside of Blue Sun Designs in cabin number 4, I worked for an apparel company, and we used that printer for some stuff at my business. So I already had a relationship with them. I already knew who they were. I already knew the quality of their work. And so it was pretty natural to just switch. I honestly didn't even, or to stay with them when I made the switch to my own business. I honestly didn't even look into other companies, which probably I should have, but since the relationship was already there, I just stuck with it, and yeah, it's working.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Hmm.
Leaving about 30 seconds for anybody else who wants to chime in.